play right, cause they can't miss. All about the game, that's a cold switch. Serving up the truth, call it ruthless. Tune in and get your fix from Blake and Vish Sports.
Then who did you have?
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue right now. I'm going to take Jamin Davis. I think middle linebacker is really a position that it becomes easy to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. If you rack up tackles and you're making impact plays, you're immediately put into that conversation right there. I mean, we saw Darius Leonard have that kind of season where he was put in All-Pro. We've seen, obviously, the best of the best. Patrick Willis have that type of conversation. Jamin Davis is a –
Kuechly as well.
Yeah, Kuechly, great name. I forgot that one. But Jamin Davis is a freak athlete playing behind a great defensive line, and I think that's going to allow him to flow sideline to sideline and rack up a ton of tackles, and I think he's going to be an impact player. I mean, Washington's going to have an excellent defense, which will only help his case, and obviously he was just named their starting middle linebacker a couple days ago, so things are looking good, and I think Jamin Davis, because of that, I mean, he's who I would predict as the Defensive Player of the Year because I like who's in front of him in terms of his defensive line. I like who's around him in terms of next to him in their linebacking core and their secondary, adding William Jackson and with Landon Collins coming back and all of that. And so I really like the idea of Jamin Davis having a big rookie season and being the Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And he kind of flew up the draft boards as the season went along. Obviously, the athletic profile's there, but I think you mainly highlighted it with behind debatably one of the best, probably a top 3 to 5 defensive line in the whole league. I mean, you look across the board and there's just 4 studs, maybe even 5, considering some of the depth they have as well. But there's tons of studs there. He's going to be running behind that, super rangy. I like him. I'm interested to see, though, like what position or if the linebacker position will win it. I feel like cornerback, there's Horn and Surtain, but I feel like that is just very hard to win as a cornerback because, they don't really accumulate stats and they usually don't get hype as much as other positions do, like namely linebacker and D-line, like edge prospects that get a lot of sacks and stuff. But I'm interested to see if a linebacker can pull it out because, I mean, the guys we mentioned are Hall of Fame talents. Like Kuechly and Willis and the other guy you mentioned as well. But
Darius Leonard,
yeah, and Leonard is, I mean, in his own right, he's been an All-Pro, so that's kind of, I guess, if he is that good, that kind of helps.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, with Jamin Davis, you touched on the defensive line, right? I think the 2 guys that are least talked about on this defensive line to me are the 2 best players, especially one. Jonathan Allen is the best player on this defensive line. He just got an extension to me that was not too rich. It was actually maybe a little cheaper than a player of his caliber could go because he's a really, really good interior defensive lineman. And he's really good against the run and the pass. And you have Deron Payton, who's just a mammoth space eater inside, and he's more than that. He can rush the passer as well. He's an absolute beast, the 2 Alabama guys. And they're going to create a lot of open and easy access for Jamin Davis in terms of their run fits to be able to hit and tackle linebackers for losses and all of that. And then you talked about his athleticism and range and coverage. It might, with their pass rush, also lend him to get a couple interceptions from errant throws created by the pass rush, and his athleticism and his overall stats could definitely fit the profile of a Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the most interesting 2 answers in the fact that compared to other years, there's usually a top 5 draft pick or top 7 that kind of would be the consensus guy. But like even last year, I think everyone had Chase Young winning it, but it's a lot less or a lot more up in the air, I guess you could say, onto who actually will be winning it this year. Is there's maybe not that one blue chip prospect that everyone thinks is going to win it.
100%. And just one more thing to add on Jamin Davis. I mean, we've seen over the last 2 years this profile of this super athletic linebacker with Devin Bush and Devin White. And even last year, I mean, Patrick Queen really struggled, but at the early part of the season, people had him in this conversation, even though really throughout the season he struggled. With a good defensive line in front of him, they make enough splash plays that people who don't end up watching, all of them, like a lot of people felt that Patrick Queen had a good rookie season, and then they went back and watched him. And by week 6, week 7, he's really struggling.
Oh, Isaiah Simmons is another guy you could kind of throw in there too.
He's the opposite, right? He struggled for like the first 10 weeks of the
Yeah,
season, and
no,
then
but
he
just as
finally played
another
well later. Yeah.
a guy of that kind of like.
Oh, right,
like
right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. My bad, I misunderstood. But
You're
yeah,
good. But yeah, I think that wraps up Defense Rookie of the Year. I had Jalen Phillips. Vish had Jamin Davis. We will see. This year is going to be interesting. I feel like it'll probably be someone we're not guessing or even thinking about who's going to win it. But I mean, hey, it happened last year with Jeremy Chin. He was in the conversation. No one would have guessed him before the season. But anyways,